hats. I've got so many. Did y'all get a hat here? Some swag at the conference? Yes? Everybody responds with snores. Okay, we'll get through this quickly. Nice to see you. My screen's looking odd. I don't know why. Let's see if we can get this working. Hey, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for sticking it through. Hello. Nice to see everybody. Why are there 2 tables here? I'm just going to give myself some room. Okay. See? Whole body. So, hi, I'm Tejas. It's as I mentioned, it's a pleasure to be here closing out the conference. My name is pronounced like advantageous. Whether or not I am advantageous, we'll find out by the end of the talk. But I'm here to talk to you today about React as a developer help tool. React as a developer help tool. Before I go further, I mean, it's the end of the day, and I feel like we owe it to the people involved to give them just a little bit of a round of applause. Can we do that? Yeah. I think of Michelle and Gabe, and even backstage there was Patrick who put who helped me come on stage. So give it up for Patrick backstage. Thank you. Manuel put the mic on me. That's a job, huh? So yeah, amazing people. And really, this conference wouldn't be much without them. So React as a developer help tool. I don't know if you all caught on, but the theme of this conference is absolutely React. And is absolutely developer help, which is a core value of G2I, the organizer. And I had the privilege of working at G2I for a little while, and it was honestly one of the best places I've ever worked ever in my life, because they prioritize help like this. And I feel like this conference, React Miami, would be a bit remiss if it didn't talk about this, talk about React as a tool that facilitates, helps, and improves, even with use effect, improves developer help, okay? I would like to talk a little bit about where React came from and why it's helpful, and look at some challenges it faces today, and then look at inspiration from other developer tools that are now emerging that are following React's mission for developer help. So if you'll bear with me for a little bit today, I'd like to start by talking about React's intent. That is, why was React even created? And how many of you watched the documentary? Yeah, okay, that's about 75% of the room. This documentary made the case for that very clearly. And if you saw it, it shows you that we were doing things before that were very complex, ensuring UI updates in a way that is scalable at the scale of then Facebook, and in a way that is testable and reproducible is not easy. And there were a lot of developers losing a lot of sleep, ergo health, over that. The real mission, as it were, with something like React, with a UI abstraction, is enabling this use case of write once, deploy anywhere, be it the web with React or be it native with React Native. And just as a palate cleanser, as a refresher, as a wake me up, I'd love to kind of do a little bit of a demo to show us the kind of stuff we've been spending time on before React and highlight React as a developer help tool for you. And then we'll talk about some ways React has maybe gotten a little bit outside of the good of developer help. Trying to say this with as much decorum as I can. So let's open up the browser. Anyone use Arc? Arc is my favorite browser. Yeah, not enough people. All of you need to. I'll give you an invite after. We're going to open up the browser, and we'll open the editor. And what we'll do is a little bit of split screen action. I want you half. And I've got a directory here called imperative. And what I want to do is just write imperative code. We haven't done this in a while if we've been using React. So let's cd imperative, and we'll start like npx vite. I'm just starting up a little dev server. So let's think back to before React, right? We'd have just a standard HTML5, right? Let's call this React Miami thing. And now if we mimic what React expects from HTML, you'd expect some type of root like this. And here is where you'd normally like react.render. But yeah, we're going to do this, some imperative stuff. Let's just see if that works. Thank you, Copilot, for spoiling my awesome live coding. Anyway, localhost 51743. There we go. Okay, so that works, but it's not really interactive. There's literally no reason to use JavaScript for this. I want you, if you're writing JavaScript to do this, you need help. Okay, anyway. But we use JavaScript to make things interactive. We use CSS, by the way, to make things presentational. Great talk by Yuna earlier today about that. So how do we make this interactive? Let's do a little bit of a counter, right? So instead of hello world, we'll say my counter And we'll add to this root thing. We'll add a, let's go before the append child. Const, I don't know, okay, sure, we definitely need a button. What else? Nope. We're gonna do increment. We'll just do a one-way counter, and then hopefully Copilot can add an on-click. Awesome. But let's do another one. Let's do a span. And notice we're talking about imperative code, and React saves us from this, which, as you can see, becomes a little bit verbose. Let's do count. And then we'll do another span, and we'll do inner text 0. And this is the one we'll increment. But we can't have two constants in span. It's JavaScript, so it actually lets you do this. This is the world without TypeScript, everybody. Const span equals, no problem. But let's say count value here, and we'll do inner text is 0. Looking good so far. So what we want to do is increment this thing. So let's now, oh, this is perfect. It actually did it for me. And okay, so now I want to append the span to, so root append child h1, and we'll also root append child span, and we'll append child, count value, and we'll append child button. This should give us what we want, right? Okay, perfect. Does it work? Hallelujah. Now I want to highlight this for you. Look at this absolute unit of code right here. All this for a counter. And this is not even a component really, but imagine if it was. Imagine if we had 10,000 of these things and we wanted them to work reliably. We wanted them to be testable in isolation. We wanted them to scale. If there was no React, this is my developer health story or my developer burnout story, really. Not ideal. In fact, React takes care of a whole class of other problems we don't even see. Like if I was to do something like this, query selector, this does conceptually the same thing. Like if I reload the page, it will in fact work, but query selector just by design is measurably slower every time as opposed to get element by ID. And in some cases, some would say, oh, but that's trivial, but maybe it's not if you've got thousands and thousands. So your use of query selector versus get element by ID is something with React you don't have to think about at all. In fact, if we contrast this code with its React variant that does literally the same thing, let's actually go split screen just to really make my point here. This on the left is imperative. This is React. I mean, so yeah, if you doubted its developer health capabilities, I mean, Now, I could add use effect to this. I'll wait with that a bit. But anyway, developer health capabilities right here. Let's move on. Lately, React has caught some negative feedback on the. So anyone on Twitter here? Wow, there's like 3 people. No wonder all of you are so healthy. I see Mark in the back. Twitter is like fast track to problems. Anyway, some people say React is falling short, and rightfully so. React, in some ways, I want to be as respectful as possible, has deviated from this good for developer health feeling, at least among the people on Twitter, among even myself. For example, use effect, right? A lot of people say things about use effect where it's non-intuitive. I tend to agree because if you leave off a second argument, you cause an infinite loop. And I don't know why there's not even a console warning about it. So it does fall short in some ways, but there's a bigger criticism that I lean toward, and this was a tweet from a good friend of mine, Yanni. Absolutely adore Yanni, a really, really close friend who tweeted this. And I think this is a masterpiece in a tweet, React is in its middle-aged man era, at the top of its economic productivity, meaning used everywhere and really great, but culturally completely irrelevant. It speaks to a feeling where React is this thing that's now stable and good, and it's used everywhere. It's appreciable, but also cool to hate on sometimes, especially on Twitter. And this reminds me of a similar company whose things we use all the time. How many of you have iPhones here? I'm just curious. Literally everyone. How many of you don't have iPhones? 5. I'm joking. It's more like 10, or it's definitely 10%, I would say. And people love Apple. A lot of the reasons why people get iPhones and things is the design. It looks nice, it feels great, it works reliably. But occasionally, you have the people who go, yeah, okay, but this. these are the same people who probably go like, yeah, React sucks because I have to think about use effect. And so these things are great. Sure, they have nits you can pick, but they're generally for your health. This is particularly cursed, though. Anyway, so how does React then fall short? What are people struggling with in React? What are people criticizing in React? And how is it not meeting its intention of helping developer health? That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about these things with some code examples that will help us understand the nuance around it and what React is doing to get back on track with really being this optimal developer health solution for building UI libraries, okay? So what people complain about with React, this is an anecdotal list of things I hear at conferences. I go to a lot of conferences and talk to tons of React developers. And this is the three things I keep hearing people complain about. Number one is React DOM is just massive. It's like uncompressed. It's like 200 kilobytes. You ship an entire virtual DOM runtime. And now you have a trend towards things like Svelte, things like Solid, things like even Quick that ship absolutely no runtime JavaScript, as it were. They're like disappearing frameworks and libraries. Svelte is a compiler that just gives you JavaScript. Why do I need the bloat that is React DOM? A lot of people complain about this, and I have good news. Thankfully, there's work being done with server components on React. Anyone using server components? Okay, that is literally 5 people. But server components help this a lot. They help you do most of your work on the server, JavaScript-wise, and ship just rendered HTML to the client. But they don't solve the bundle size problem completely. That is, if you have an app with a bunch of click handlers and a bunch of functions that maybe the user never clicks on the button to call the function, you're shipping useless functions. You're shipping like a lot of JavaScript that does maybe not what you need. And React will still ship that currently. There's work being done to help that, and I want to talk to you about that in a minute, but I'd like to actually show you this bundle size thing by way of a little short demo about how React does it and about how Quick, anyone heard of Quick? So Quick, yeah, like, okay, not that many. But Quick aims to be the fastest, smallest, lightest way of building UIs on the web. And I'd like to show you a little demo of that just to make sure we're all on the same page. So I'm gonna close this, move this over, and come here. Nope, wrong place. Come to the browser. And what we'll do is we'll just open up Quick right here. So if we go to bundle size, Quick, and I will go start a dev server, cd Quick, and we will npm start. Why not? It's going to open. Yeah, so this is Quick. We have a counter, and Quick was made to look exactly like React. So if we go to routes, index.tsx, I mean, here, this is what you see. H1 counter, button increment. It's literally very similar to React. However, you'll notice this $sign thing. And that is a directive to Quick that says, hey, any function that comes after the $sign, code split that. Split it out into a new module, and then load it on demand. Exclude it from the main bundle you ship to your users. As a result, Quick ships absolutely no JavaScript, except maybe like 1 kilobyte of boilerplate every single time. It's every single time. Every Quick app ships 1 kilobyte of JavaScript on initial load, roughly. Okay. So this splits this component out into some other module somewhere, and loads it when the component enters the viewport. Similarly, I have this onClick function that only loads this function when I click increment. And in fact, it does work, but how does it work? So if I open the network inspector, let's maybe go halfsies, and we'll go network. What I want to show you, we'll filter on JavaScript here, is that I've loaded no JavaScript, as you can see. Oh, actually, I have loaded some JavaScript. I was just lying. These are dev server things, so they're not quick, really. And so watch what happens when I click increment. Watch over here, the network tab. So it loaded a bunch of stuff, and some of it was 2.3 megabytes uncompressed. But had I not clicked the button, had I never taken that user interface path, it would never have loaded and slowed down my page. In the load things, I loaded this file here, which is called routes component div button onclick hap8.js. And the source code of this thing is literally just a function that increments the count. But it only loaded it when I needed it. React Server Components doesn't have this yet being the keyword. I think this is worthy of a lot of appreciation because it somehow captures lexical closure scope. Like if we split this function out, maybe here, right? And we even do like something like const increment, whatever, increment. and we call increment like this. Well, technically how quick works is you do something like this, and then you call. Anyway, whatever. So if we do this, this now, because it's split out, has no idea what count is, because it was relying on the enclosing scope. But somehow, with magic, Quick will split the function out and just be fully aware of lexical scope. And I think that's very, very cool. It's also very magic, so when you run into some edge case and you want to debug it, it's going to be hard. That's Quick. React doesn't have this, but there's talk of something called progressive, or selective rather, selective hydration in React that does the same thing. So server components, meaning render on the server, ship components to the client, and then selective hydration being make something interactive only when you go to interact with it. These two combined makes React similar to Quick in this way. That gives you those health benefits for developer health, okay? Number two is server focus. So React is moving more and more to the server. Andrew Clark from Vercel on the React team says, hey, if you use React, you're going to want to use a server. If you don't have a server, incrementally adopt one. If you're starting something new, start with a server. The React team is very clear, server, server, server. And that is because it gives you a ton of benefits, like we talked about, server components et al. I need to be clear here, you can get developer health benefits from React if you don't use a server. It's just you don't get all of them. But there's people complain, oh, now it's getting way more complex. It used to be just a piece of JavaScript I could include on my web page, and now I have to do so much more. Yes, but the benefits are tremendous. I'd love to show you another demo, but I want to be sensitive to time. But you know what? It's the last talk, so who cares? I'll try to be quick. If you don't want a demo, let me know. If you do want a demo, show me. Okay. Good. Feel free to, it's totally safe to be like, get off the stage. It will not violate the code of conduct. Anyway, with the server focus, let's be a little bit quick about it. I want to show you what frameworks do just by like server-side routing that I think is worth knowing, that'll help you appreciate the server focus. So we have here kind of a roll your own situation of rolling our own server. What I'm going to do is just start Beat. And I have a list of like dog breeds that I like. It's a little app that shows you a list of things. My favorite API in the world, dog.ceo, phenomenal API. And this is indeed a React app. It's interactive. It updates here every time I like something. The problem is it's client only, right? So there's no server, meaning if I view source, I see absolutely nothing. And this is pretty bad for search engines, for accessibility. It's just, it has drawbacks. So the solution to this is client render. Now, or rather server render. To server render, you'd probably want to use Next.js or Remix. You certainly do not want to roll your own because there's a ton of pitfalls that happen. But for the sake of developer education today, we're going to roll our own server that renders just for fun and to understand the complexity behind it. And to do that, I'm just going to quickly, and this honestly should take 5 minutes. I have no interest in taking too much of your time away. So we'll do server.jsx. And what do we need? Well, we need a server. So we'll get get a server. We need React for sure. We need our app, probably a good idea. And we need a server render function from React DOM. So we'll import from React DOM server. We'll import what, like render to string? Okay. Should I use render to string? Can anyone tell me, should I not? I'll use it. Wow, everyone's giving me the thumbs up. Yo, that's a weak API. Anyway, and we'll talk about why. So we'll create our server, and then on / we'll render our component to string. We'll listen. Oh, Copilot, God bless you. That's it. We have a server that is rendering our app component to a HTML string and sending it over the network. Let's just run this without really knowing what's going to happen and then see what happens. So I'll kill the Vite server. I've got to build this. So I'll go to my build and delineate client and server right here. So I'll actually have to build this with ES-build, which is an absolutely great tool. And I'll say this is for Node.js. This is Node. And then I want to compile my server and client at the same time. So I'll just have a general build, and I'll do run in parallel, build all of them, okay? And now I'll just npm run build. Cool, cd dist. And normally, node server.js should give me on 3000. Great, I have a server. It's awesome. There we go, server render. If we inspect the markup, we do in fact have a bunch of things. But Yeah, actually, it's pretty great. I can't fault this. You shouldn't use render to string. There's nuance here. First of all, this isn't even interactive. Like, you notice the counter doesn't count because we're not using React on the client. We can fix that as well by interspersing like client and server here. Should I do? You know what? It's not worth it. There's limitations here. Also, render to string is probably something to avoid because it like serializes your entire React app into a string. So if you've got deep components, it will synchronously do that for each client that connects and block the event loop and crash your server, and it's just not good. So you want to use something asynchronous like a stream. So there's a function called render to pipeable stream, and this is pretty bananas because what it'll do is it has a slightly different API. So we'll get a pipe function out of a call to render to pipeable stream. So we'll do this. And in the second argument, we get some events we can respond to. On shell ready is a good one. So this is when our shell is ready. That a shell is an application with data loading placeholders. So we fetch dog breeds from the dog API, and we tell React using suspense, just show loading while stuff is loading. So that's the shell. This loading string is the shell. So when the shell is ready, when we just have the loader visible, we will pipe to the response, just like this, okay? Notice we're not using React. This is very important for you to know. This is just HTTP. So I'll kill this, rebuild my things, and start the server once again. Reload. So there's the suspense boundary, but it still worked. And we're not using React on the page, though it did update the UI. Did y'all see that? Here, let's do that again. Loading, the UI updates, but there's no React on the client side. This is purely using some inline JavaScript that React has added to our page to swap out the suspense. So this little function here, React injected from the server to say, hey, when that suspense data is finished fetching, update the UI. And that is a benefit you get from the server focus. You don't have to think about these things. Again, all this in favor of developer health, okay? So bundle size, the server focus. And lastly, cognitive load. Unfortunately, I don't have time. I really wanted to do this demo for you, but there's literally like 5 minutes left, so I'm not going to do it. People complain about, yo, React just updates all the components from the tree down when some component state changes, and this is non-intuitive. They expect fine-grained reactivity, like you get with signals in SolidJS and Quick. There's an upcoming project from Meta called the Forget compiler that will do this. It will automatically, at compile time, add use memo to like strategic places. And it knows this because of React's rules, the rules of hooks, the rules of one-way data flow, etc. It just knows what to memoize, and that'll just be part of your build step, and you'll get your fine-grained reactivity. All that to say, these are some issues people have with React, and those are some ways React is answering them while trying to kind of get back to this React is a developer help tool. React is and has been a tool primarily focused on, this is my hot take maybe, I don't even know that it's that hot, to be honest with you. We just proved what life would be like without React, okay? And this has enabled us to do some phenomenal things. For example, because React has handled a lot of the problems for us, it has allowed us to build some really ambitious applications. You all know any ambitious applications out in the wild that partly exist because of React? Yeah, I see a bunch of hands over there. I think of Notion. Who uses Notion? Yeah, a lot of you. That's possible because of React. I think of similar applications like Figma that doesn't even use React, but with React, we have the possibility. And I want to spend my last 3 minutes with you talking about how some products exist that are really paying it forward and furthering this mission of developer health. I want to share with you, so Sunil did a talk yesterday about PartyKit, great primitive. And similar, yeah, absolutely. And similar to PartyKit is live, anyone heard of live blocks? Like two of you. Live blocks is like PartyKit, but maybe a little bit higher level that does more stuff for you out of the box. And last 3 minutes, let's do a few demos about these things. And I want to leave you with a very important question at the end. So stick around for that. So I want to open up my browser, and what I want to do is let's get rid of all of this. CD back, CD light. Whoa, CDL. It's a new command. And we'll npx next. I'm using Next.js here. Next.js also, by the way, phenomenal for health. So let's get rid of this and go to live blocks, my little directory here. I want to show you. So live blocks' mission is to make like real-time multiplayer collaborative things like Figma, like multi-cursor, approachable. It's a developer health tool. I want to show you developer health is the focus. And I want you to keep that in mind. So what we have here is if I go to localhost 3000, I should have, I am a boring page, make me fun. Okay, I want this to be multiplayer, and I want us to have a little bit of an engaged multiplayer experience here. I need you to, a lot of people tell you, hey, don't pull out your phone and be distracted. I'm gonna do the opposite in just a minute, okay? But this is a boring page. What I wanna do is add multiplayer capabilities to this with a few lines of code. Maybe not quite 8 like Sunil yesterday, but that was pretty amazing. So what we'll do is I'll create a folder here, a file rather, and I wanna import some functions from LiveBlocks client and LiveBlocks React. And again, the point here is to focus on and show you just the developer health, how ridiculous it is. We'll create room context. So I'm gonna create a client, which is, maybe I can spell create client. It needs a public API key. And I have this in .env. Don't look, everybody cover your eyes. It's public, I kid, it's fine. I need a type for something called presence. And in LiveBlocks, presence is a thing that says, hey, I'm here, I'm a player in this multiplayer thing. And I want to create an app where each one of you and me can write here a CSS rule. And together we compose like a bunch of CSS that completely destroys this page. Okay? So we'll do rule string. Everyone can enter only one. And I highly recommend adding a semicolon, else you'll break it because CSS. And look, it kind of does it for me, but I'll export a const. And I'll just create a client with presence as a generic. Not create client. Oops, it's create room context, my bad. And so what I want to do here is extract some stuff. So definitely the room provider and some hooks. Use my presence, use others. Yeah, that's a good one. And maybe use error listener. I hope I don't have to use this. Okay, next, it's a Next.js app. So I'm going to wrap my app in the context. So I'll just come over here and be like, what is it? Room provider. I love TypeScript. I would not have a career without TypeScript. That's another developer health tool. Just think about all the developer health tools that exist. And at the end, I'm going to have a question for you. I think you can kind of guess what it is, but don't spoil things. Initial presence is just, the rule is empty, okay? And that's kind of all. I think this should now be multiplayer. So I'm just going to add it to my app here. So if I go to pages index in Next.js, this is just a React component. I want to make it multiplayer. So what I want is my presence. So set P, and I'll use my presence over here. And I want others. That is all of you, all the other players. And I'll use that. Maybe import, that's a good idea. So there are 0 people here. I want this to say how many people are there. So there's definitely me. I am 1, plus the length of others. I don't know what that is, but length. And then what I want to do is kind of iterate over everyone's CSS rules and add them. Oh, look, it kind of worked. Nice. So let's go over here. And I'm going to multi-cursor this thing. So I'll put my rule. That's the one I wrote. And I'll iterate, I'll map over others. So I'll say, oh, wow, Copilot. Others.map, O, and we'll do O.presence.rule. I just want the rule, and then I'll join it with a new line. This looks nice. Okay, so I'm just going to do a solo test, and then I'd invite all of you if you're up for it. So color red. Huh, doesn't work. Classic. Why doesn't it work? Oh, I didn't bind the input. Silly me. Value is p.rule. On change, we get the event. You thought that error was an accident. All right, let's go. Color red. Okay, kind of works. I don't like that spacing. I don't like when multi-line strings do this. Y'all ever have that? Nasty. All right, let's go. And then we'll get rid of that line. Perfect. So this is cool. Let me pull this up on my phone and see if it responds. So I have color red. Let's go, I don't know, background. Is it working? Oh, it is. Nice. Background green. Wait, I can't type. Green. Okay. So it kind of works, but now let's get wild. It's after party time. I'm just going to clear all of that, and I'm going to record this session. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, I want you, very important, to scan this QR code. And you let me know when you're done by saying done. All right, great. You should be here, and I want you to, oh my Lord. Wait. Stop. Everybody stop what you're doing. Okay, whoa. This has gone horribly awry. Did someone do like height 1 million or something? What happened? Oh my lord. Wait, maybe if I make the screen really small. Wow, you let something happen on the internet and people really. One person type one thing. Okay. How do I have no idea what to do at this point. I didn't expect. Can everyone what if I inspect element? What am I going to see here? This y'all are part of something now, something greater than all of us. Oh my goodness! And it's still someone typed haha. This isn't valid CSS. Yuna, fix them. What is happening? Dear Lord in heaven. Okay. Wow. I've created a monster. That's what I've done. Okay. Can y'all leave? For reals. Because I have a really cool demo I want to show you, but now I can't even use it. Oh, yeah. Whoever's typing invalid CSS. Opacity. Kind of just enjoying reading this now. Okay. I think we're almost there. Look at this. Opacity, display none. I'm going to give it 3 seconds, and if people don't leave, I'll just do a different room. It's fine. But I would really like it if whoever's screwing up the style could just get out of the room. Like, you have to close the tab on your device. Otherwise it's going to stick. What an awesome chaos moment. Kathleen thought she had issues with the distractions. Okay. Oh, we're almost. Who has the AAAA? Someone. Oh, there's a live stream. Oh, you live stream people. Come on. Okay. It's been 3 seconds. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna have to do. Oh, and it's back. Hit that like button. I have to give it to you. That's a. Okay, hit that like and subscribe. Okay, anyway, I'm going to still whatever. So it kind of works ish, and then there's so 29, 30, 31, whatever. What I wanted to show you, I'm just going to leave this running. If somebody can make this, actually, never mind. No rabbit hole. I'm going to leave this running for a bit. But while React as a developer help tool has enabled us to think about what else can we simplify the developer health around. We have products like LiveBlocks, like PartyKit. But what you'll notice is these things become increasingly hard to debug. Anyone ever tried to debug real-time multiplayer nonsense? Like, yeah. How was your experience? Burnout. It's hard. I'm trying to debug this literally right now on stage, and I'm burning out just thinking about it. Okay. So someone's adding important. Oh my lord. Anyway, so I'm thinking about debugging this. I wanted to share with you, as these things become hard. Enough. As these things become hard to debug, so we need an evolution in debugging as well for developer help. And that's the last demo I want to show you. The basement dude, JB, Julian talked about this earlier, but I've stumbled across a tool that I think is extremely valuable for debugging exactly this kind of thing called Replay. Anyone use Replay here? Like 5. I want to make that more because I think it's worth it. So I've been recording this entire session, and with Replay, it gives me something that I can use to debug. And God knows I need to debug this. So we started with this. And if I hit play, what's going to happen is it will play the thing like a video, kind of like a failing Cypress test, mouse events and all. The awesome thing about Replay, though, that I've really appreciated is it's not a video, while it looks like one. I can literally like pan back and forth. If I go to DevTools, and again, the focus here is developer health. I want you to stick that in your mind. If I go to DevTools, what I find is this isn't a video much at all, but I can like inspect the DOM and the errant style sheets and really like get to the weeds of it. I'm outside of what's called focus. I'm going to come in here and look at this. So I can inspect this thing, and I see the HTML, and I see all of your absolutely horrendous style sheets forever captured in time in a way where I can actually go in and debug exactly the multiple CSS mistakes that have happened here, and kind of know, oh, even this moment right here, you see that? I can visit different elements of the code, and I can even like add, and this kind of blew me away. I don't know if I can do this now because you really destroyed my page. Yeah, here, pages index. I can literally add console logs after the fact, and I think this is ridiculous. Like if I come to here, for example, p.rule, I add a console log, right? Use focus mode, whatever. Can I add a console log? I tried this earlier. Maybe that one not, but over here maybe. These things were hit 2,500 times. Yeah, let's maybe use this. Okay, I did not expect this much chaos, but I'm here for it. So I added this console log, and I can do whatever I want, right? And it shows me every single time after the fact what a value is. I even get access to the enclosing scope and so on, and really I'm able to debug this very, very efficiently. I could maybe even take a look at hello here, at what others is. Is that going to work? Yeah, others, exactly. And I can differentiate this from the others using this like little unicorn symbol. So it's what they've done, and I think this is really admirable, is they've taken, yeah, so now I can see hello, and I can see all of these different connections from the room. And this is after something has happened. Never could you debug a live stream or a live multiplayer thing like this before. And I think for developer help, that is pretty admirable. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because React started something. As you saw in the React documentary, React started a movement for developer health through finding the right level of abstraction, right between the amount of control we want to give up and the convenience we want to have. And things like LiveLox, Replay, Figma, Notion, whatever, they all carry that torch. I'm not saying React started this by any means, but React is a significant player. And with that, I want to wrap up this talk and really ask you one last question, which is, in the name of developer health, and following suit with these, what can you build? React Miami, thank you so much for having me. This has been an absolute pleasure.